Hello students, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to find average return, standard deviation, correlation, beta and expected return of a single stock. Then I'll show you how to find the portfolio risk and return. In this tutorial I have used 5 stocks, that's Google, HP, Pepsi, Walmart, JP Morgan, and in order to proxy the market I'm going to use the S&P 500 index. In addition, I am going to use the weekly stock prices between April 8, 2013 and April 13th of 2012. So I'm going to take 1 year prices and I'm going to compute the things that I just told you. Now let's see, how do I compute the weekly return? And in order to compute the weekly return, let's move our cursor to column C, where I have created an additional column. The name of it is Google_red, and it means that I'm going to compute all the weekly returns in this column. Now the way to start it is you start with an equal sign, and then we're going to take the most recent return as the beginning, most recent price as the beginning price, so that's B2, and then we are going to subtract the previous week's closing price, which is in B3. Now remember, I'm trying to find the holding period return for 1 week, so the beginning price is the most recent week and the ending price is the week before, divided by the weekly price of last week. Okay, now if I press enter, that gives me the weekly return, or the change in the price from past week to from the last week to this week. Now once I compute this weekly return, then I can select the cell and I can just double click on the right side of this cell, and the Excel will automatically compute the weekly returns for the past 51 weeks. Okay, so let's do that and see how it goes. Now if we scroll down, then you will see that some of these numbers would appear as div over 0 because it doesn't have any corresponding week prior to 13th of April 2012, so we will just ignore that return. Okay, so we can copy the same formula, and paste it across the HP, Pepsi, Walmart, JP Morgan and the S&P 5 index. Okay, now you can easily highlight this cell. The other way of doing it would be just copy it and then you paste it across the column. Okay, now if I do the same thing over all these returns, then I can compute the weekly return for all these stocks for past 1 year. Okay, now the next what we are going to do is we are going to see how to compute the average return, average weekly return for each of these stocks. Okay, now that's what I highlighted here, average return, and I'm going to use an Excel built-in function to show you how to find the average return for this stock. So to start with, I will again press an equal sign and I'll go to effects and I'll type average return, and it should or if I just type average and click go, it tells me and then I press OK. So here I would have to select the cell for which I need to compute the average return. So first I would like to compute the average return for Google, so I highlight the entire cell that has the Google's return, and then I press OK. So that gives me the average return for Google for the past 1 year. Now then I can copy it and I can just simply paste it in each of these columns, and it would give me the average returns for all these stocks in my portfolio. Okay, now that's what Excel is so convenient, because you can just copy the formulas again and again, and it will automatically give you the result. The next, we would like to see the standard deviation, which is the total risk of investing in each stock. So again, I'm going to compute the standard deviation for 1 year. So I'm going to start with an equal sign, and then I'm going to go to FX, and I'm going to start typing standard deviation, and let's see what it comes up with. Now here I have several options. One of these is the standard deviation of a sample, so I'm going to use that and press OK. And just like average, I'm going to select the cell for which I need to compute the standard deviation. In our example, it's going to be Google, so press OK. That gives me the standard deviation for Google's stock return over the period of time that we are interested, and then we can copy it and we can paste it in all the remaining columns to give us the standard deviations. Alright, now next what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how to find the annualized return. So here I'm going to take a very simple approach, and I'm going to multiply the average weekly return by 52 to give us an annualized return. There are many other ways you can compute it. I'm just trying to show you a very simple example. So I take the average weekly return for Google, and then I multiply it by 52. Just a quick way to find the annualized return, and then I can copy it for each of these columns, and that gives me the average or the annualized rate of return for each stock. Now, in order to make it a little more readable, I can convert it into decimal. I can convert it into percentage. So let's go to home and click on percentage, and then you can increase or decrease the decimals. Okay, just so you know that what your stock return is for the past 1 year. Sorry. Okay, so let's do that. Now from here, what you can see is obviously Google's return is higher than the average market return, which is 15.55%. And if you're investing in Pepsi for the past 1 year, their return is lower than the average market return. And the third one is Pepsi, which has a higher return. Walmart also had a higher return, and JP Morgan also has a higher return. So that gives us an idea about how the stocks has been performing over the past 1 year. Now let's compute correlations for each of these stocks, between each stocks. Now the first thing that I did is I created a matrix. On the horizontal side I have the Google, HP, Pepsi, Walmart, and JP Morgan, and on the vertical side I have the same stocks. The first what I'm going to do is to show you how to find the correlation. So again, I'm going to start with an equal sign, and I'll go to FX and I'll type correlation, and I'll press go, and that shows up the function to use. So I first select the stocks, the returns for which I need to find the correlation. So I want to find the correlation between Google's return and Google's return, and obviously the correlation will be positively 1, because it's the same stock, right? So so that's that. I select the column and I hit OK, and I should have 1. Now next, I would like to know the correlation between Google and HP. So I'll start with correlation. Okay, and then I will first highlight the cell that has Google's return, okay, and then I can press comma and I can select the HP cell, okay, and then I can close the first parenthesis. That's another way of, if you're not willing to go to FX and you just want to do it in quickly, then you can also learn this shortcut and you can do it, okay, and then you press OK. That gives you the correlation between HP and Google. Now let's compute for Pepsi. I'm going to show you the conventional way, correlation, and then let's select the first array, which is Google, and let's also select the second array, which is the Pepsi, okay. Alright, and there you go. Now we're gonna stop the video for a second, and then I'm gonna show you how to compute the rest of the correlations, okay. Okay, now we have computed the correlation for between each of these stocks. We have correlation between Google and Walmart is negative 0.02 for the past year. Walmart and HP has a very low correlation of 0.03, and also Walmart and JP Morgan has also a very low correlation. So from this correlation analysis, we can clearly see there are four winners: Google and HP, Google and Walmart, HP and Walmart, and Walmart and JP Morgan. So based on this correlation analysis, what we can say is for the next year we would expect a similar kind of relation between these stocks, and if I have these stocks in my portfolio, then I'm expecting I'll expect to get lower risk in my portfolio. Now speaking about risk, next let's see how do we find beta, and for that we're going to start with the equal sign again. We're going to go to FX and we're going to type slope, because that's the slope of a linear regression, and that's how we find the beta of a stock. Alright, so now here we have two things to fill in. One is the known Y's and known X. The Y's is the stock return, and the X's would be the return of the S&P 500. So let's select the stock return. First we want to try with Google, so let's select Google's return. So that would be my Y's, and my X's would be my S&P 500 return. And once we select this two, if I press OK, that gives me the return, the beta of Google. Alright, so let's take a pause and let's compute for all the rest of the betas. Okay. Alright, so we are going to do the last two ones. It's JP Morgan and S&P 500. Just to show you again how to do the how to compute the beta. We start with an equal sign, go to slope, and the known Y's are the return of the stock for which we want to find the beta. So in our case it's JP Morgan, so we click on the JP Morgan's return, and the known X's is the market return, which is proxied by S&P 500, and we select that and we press OK. That gives us the beta for JP Morgan. And in our class we have seen many times that the market beta is always 1. Let's test that. So if S&P 500 is the market portfolio, the beta should be 1. So we start with an equal sign, and then we click on slope, and the known Y's and the known X in our case would be the S&P 500 returns. Okay, so for known X is also S&P 500 returns, and then we press OK, and then you can see that the beta for the market return is 1. Okay, now we are going to use this beta, and we are going to, in the next video we are going to show you how to find the expected return. Till then, enjoy this video.